Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring veterinarian Dr. Debbie White, groomer Joey Villani, news director Lori Brooks. And now, from the Red Barn Studios, here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
We love hearing from you, and it's toll-free from the Animal Radio app. Did I mention it was free? The free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. And on today's show, in just a couple of minutes, from the CBS series Lucky Dog, which, by the way, I believe he just won an Emmy for, Brandon McMillan will be joining us. Also, wow, we have a really couple of great experts today. We have Pam Johnson-Bennett also joining us. So we have one for the dogs and one for the cats.
There you go. We're not speciest around here.
And it also says up there the hottest pet costumes. Are they going to be? Who's going to be on?
Who's
going to be on?
We're going to have Madonna Sheehy from fun.com. She's going to come on and tell us about all the greatest, latest pet costumes.
Who is that?
Madonna
who?
Sheehy.
Madonna Sheehy. Okay.
Do you know her? No relation to Madonna the singer.
No.
Okay.
That's I didn't know.
And I'm probably butching her last name.
Butching it?
There's all kinds of puns in there, isn't there?
It really is. So you dress your animals up for Halloween. You dress Ladybug up for Halloween every
I do.
year,
And my cat, I want to dress him up, but I know he doesn't really like costumes. But what he does like is a cape. So I just put a cape on him. And he runs around the house like he's super cat.
You sure he's not just running away to get away from the
No,
costume?
Hoping it falls off.
No, he struts his stuff. He wants to go to the door. He shows it off. He sits there like he's just hot stuff.
Okay. Anyway, on the way, we'll have the costume people. Are they going to have giveaways this year?
Wait, time out. What do you mean anyway? So are you against like dressing the pets up? Is that what you're saying?
You know, I think if you've listened to Animal Radio for any length of time, I think putting clothes on your animal is a little bit ridiculous. But, you know, I'm not.
Come on. It's they're also functional.
Why do you say that?
Each to their own, because I think that's humanizing the animal.
But what if they're cold and you put a jacket on them?
Well, that's a little different.
Okay, well, that's clothing.
But like tutus?
You know what?
There is nothing cuter than a pit bull in a tutu.
I tell
Really?
you, I know some animals that have had little chests full of their costumes, and they go to it all the time. See, listen to Ladybug. She wants to wear her costumes. They love having the costumes put on.
She doesn't seem happy about it.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
Okay, well, you know, each to their own, and if you enjoy dressing up your animals, that's perfectly fine. And this is definitely your radio show, because I admit I'm a little crazy about my animal. And in fact, that's, you know, all the pictures that I have on my phone everywhere. They're all of my cat, none of my family whatsoever.
Yeah, and we're going to give away 2 costumes.
We are?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Do you know what costumes we're giving away?
No, you get to choose.
You get to choose your costumes.
Choose your costume.
So what
fun.
Isn't that exciting? Yeah.
Yes.
And for Robert's segment today, he's going to be talking about the 5 reasons every day is Halloween in the pet world.
Huh?
Because things can be scary in the pet world. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
He'll tell us.
I don't know that
Ooh, scary.
What are you working on over there in the newsroom, Miss Brooks?
Well, next hour I will be talking about Halloween costumes for dogs, but this hour we're going to find out how weird and bizarre aging is for dogs. Really, it is totally backwards from the rest of the entire animal kingdom.
It's weird and bizarre for humans, too. So,
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about
when you look in the
It's just
mirror,
very
it's like,
different.
whoa.
who is that in the
Who's
mirror?
that old person?
So, Joey, what are you working on?
What am I working on? Right now, I'm working on Facebook. Oh, you mean for the show? Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to be talking about an easy way to get that shedding coat out of your dog. And I'm not just talking about brushing and combing. I'm talking about little trade secrets here.
That's on the way. Let's go to the phones for your calls first. Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Hey, pretty good. How you doing?
Good. Where are you calling from today?
Actually, Mount Pleasant, Iowa. I'm just pulling into a Walmart distribution center. I'm a truck driver, so.
We love ourselves
great.
some OTR. What's going on with your animal?
Oh, she's 13 years old, very vibrant still. She's a large border collie, kind of big boned for a border collie. She has hip problems right now, and I'm kind of worried and wondering what I can do to help her.
Okay. Now, you're saying she's big boned, so is that a nice way of saying she's overweight?
Well, no. She's, for a border collie, her prime weight when she was young, or she came off a cattle farm in Texas, is 60 pounds. For a female, that's large for a border collie. The males generally ran around 70 pounds.
Okay. I'm just not giving you grief here, Keith, but, definitely weight management is the number one thing that pet owners can do, that you can control to make sure your pets are having the best mobility they can. So If she's in good weight, perfect. But if for other dogs that might not be in good weight, before I go to drugs and medicines, I'm going to really push to get weight loss, because that's the number one thing. So, are you currently using any remedies, any supplements, anything for her at this time?
I threw the glucosamine stuff at her. I was just more wondering, do they have, because she's 13, she was a Frisbee dog all her life, jumping up and down. And, at 7, the doc told me that she was going to have hip problems. And I'm just wondering if there's she's having a real hard time getting up and down all the time now. If there's anything I can do to alleviate the pain. The weight is under control, but she's still in pain. I can tell,
Yeah, and in her age group, I'll tell you, I have a 13-and-a-half-year-old lab, and I'm going through the same thing. And it depends a bit on the degree of discomfort that we're having. If we're getting slow getting up and down, there's a little bit more effort to her movements. Dogs aren't going to cry, so I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for the slow, purposeful movements that they do. And if we're seeing that, then I may just add in one medication. I may try something as simple as a joint support with a pain medicine. My own dog, I'll tell you right now, I have her on 5 different things, because we're losing function. We're losing the benefit of these different medicines. So we'll need to find a spot for your dog somewhere within that, I'm assuming. So a joint support, absolutely. Put her on a glucosamine product. And even beyond that, there's hyaluronic acid supplements that can be given in the injection form or even in the liquid form. There's one called Lubricin that we talk about on the show quite a bit. So that can help. It's a low-level thing, so it's not going to help that pet that has really horrible arthritic hips and be the only thing that's going to fix that. So we're going to add in other things. My own dog, I have on Tramadol, which is an opioid-like pain medicine, which is very nice because it has low side effects and it's tolerated really well. And then I added in a non-steroidal pain reliever for my dog, and there's many out there. You'll need to talk to your vet about this, make sure that she's healthy, she's got recent lab work. But a non-steroidal pain reliever is really important for a dog that's got a lot of arthritic problems, a lot of joint discomfort. There's only so far that supplements will go for those babies, and that's where my doggie's at. And then beyond that, I'll even add in, there's a medicine called gabapentin, and I just recently added that to my dog's regimen, and it's really helped her quite a bit. But that's where we kind of build upon this, and it's what we call multimodal pain management. So one medicine doesn't stop pain enough in many older pets, so we have to kind of dabble in different pathways to try to relieve their discomfort and to help them move. And so if you're new to starting something with her, I'm not advocating trying 5 things like my dog, but I would definitely see about getting into something that's maybe well tolerated, like Tramadol or gabapentin, and then see about a non-steroidal with your vet.
I appreciate that. Do they make a cortisone injections when it gets, down the road? Eventually quality of life's going to come down to where she will have to be put down to understand that. But, she's just so full of life. I don't see that happening in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. I'm going through the exact same things. The tail's wagging, the jumping and the running for balls is still going on. So, for cortisone injections, they're really not the best thing when we're talking about managing pain. We can, if there's a particular joint, we'll sometimes give an intra-articular injection of cortisone, kind of like people. But if we're not doing those other steps that I've mentioned, that would be my first line therapy that I would try that. Now, I have looked into, and believe it or not, they actually do stem cell therapy for dogs with hip dysplasia and arthritis. So that's something, but it's a little bit more of a surgical procedure and probably not, routine use for the average pet owner. But it sounds like your baby's probably not a strong candidate for some of the surgeries that we might get into, like a hip replacement or another hip surgery called an FHO. Those are some very useful surgeries for pets that when we're trying to manage that hip dysplasia and they just can't control it with the medications alone. But yeah, you'd have to weigh that in a 13-year-old doggy whether you want to get into surgery.
Well, I very much appreciate your, I'll look into that intermodal pain management you were talking about and talk to my vet about that. I appreciate your input.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Keith, and have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Well, our dog has...
Dogs.
Has what?
I said dogs. Well done.
Have what? Here, you talk about it. They got stuff in their ear. My wife says it's crusty looking. Is it white or black or green?
Like little white lumps.
Little white lumps.
Now, you mentioned you have more than one dog, and they both have the same problem?
Yes.
Well, that's a little problematic for me because, in general, when we talk about ear problems in dogs, there's not a lot of things that are really contagious. And if I'm from Vegas, so if I'm going to put my gambling chips on the line, I'm going to say it's a little unusual to have something in both dogs that isn't contagious. So the number one thing I'd really go looking for is ear mites, which are a contagious parasite that can cause ear problems, a lot of itchiness, discomfort, very scratchy pets when they have that. But there are other things, and we look at anything from infections of yeast. So if both pets are in the same environment, yeah, I guess they could get those. But I really want to check out your pets and see if they might have something like ear mites. And that's something easily done. You walk into your local veterinary office and you ask them to take a sample of that and look at it under the microscope. And, cool stuff moves around when we find ear mites. I really can't advocate enough that we get at least one of these babies to the vet, but I would preferably get both of them over there.
Okay.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Now listen up. In just a couple of seconds, I'm going to give you a promo code to save 10% off your next purchase. This portion of Animal Radio is brought to you by Red Barn, now in the kibble business with the first 5 ingredients featuring real animal protein. Because your dog loves meat, and Red Barn loves your dog. Visit redbarn.com and use the promo code ANIMALRADIO for 10% off your purchase. That's redbarn.com with the promo code ANIMALRADIO. And thanks, Red Barn, for underwriting Animal Radio.
I represent low-cost airlines, and we know a lot of you are not traveling right now, and we understand. However, if you do need to travel between now and the end of the year, now is a great time to lock in some of the lowest prices we've seen in a lifetime. Hey, in normal times, we can save you up to 75%, but now airlines are practically giving away seats. We have inside deals on over 500 airlines. Here are a few sample round-trip deals we found. Seattle to Vegas, $35. Chicago to Atlanta, $85. Los Angeles to Atlanta, $100. Of course, there are some limitations, but the airlines want your business right now. And cancellation and change fees are flexible. So fly somewhere this year, book now, save a ton, call right now.
802-341-4532, 802-341-4532, 802-341-4532. That's 802-341-4532.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating a connection with our pets, toll-free from the free Animal Radio app. And we'll go back to the phones for questions for Joey Villani and Dr. Debbie in just a couple of seconds here. And don't forget, you can also ask those questions from the free app. If I haven't said that enough, download it now. What are you working on over there in the newsroom, Miss Brooks? Our Miss Brooks?
Well, you know, we do stories all the time about how wonderful it is, how wonderful animals make our lives. And now, another reason that you should always be listening here at Animal Radio, because we have evidence, the proof that you need to know that the more you know about these research things that we tell you about, the better life that your pet is living.
Okay.
How cool is that?
That is very, very cool. And on the way with Lori Brooks in just a couple of minutes. Also, Pam Johnson-Bennett for you cat lovers will be with us. And for you dog lovers, Brendan McMillan from the CBS series Lucky Dog will be with us in just a few minutes. So it's a cat and dog day here at Animal Radio. And this headline just caught my eye. I had to bring this on air with us. The headline reads, Major Pet Insurer says dog injuries from jumping, running, slipping, tripping, or playing are not covered.
What?
This is the number one pet insurer in Canada. I'll have to get to the name here. PetSecure, I believe, is what it is. Jamie Richardson and her dog, Muddy, were out playing. And Muddy is a 7-year-old Akita breed. and apparently tripped and tore a ligament in her hind leg. And went to the veterinarian. The bills were about $4,200, and the insurance company refused to pay. They said that, and it was for only 80% too. You know, she would have had to pay the other part too. But they denied the claim, saying her policy denied coverage if the dog is injured while jumping, running, slipping, tripping, or playing.
Oh, geez.
Or just generally being a dog.
Yeah.
This would make sense if this dog had a previous history or something was documented that there was some ligament instability or the veterinarian found something prior to the onset of the insurance, but I've never heard of that in a knee injury situation. I've heard that in hip dysplasia because that is a congenitally inherited type problem.
Well, no, I'm thinking about like Ladybug, the studio stunt dog, who has she's had 2 surgeries for a luxating patella. Would that have been covered? I mean,
It depends. Yeah, it depends, and that is one important thing you bring up for pet insurance companies. They have the right to set the parameters with what their policy will cover. Many of them do not cover diseases that have a congenital or an inherited component. Patellar luxation does have an inherited component. It isn't the only thing that affects that. So it would be something I would ask, before you take out a policy. And if you have a breed that is prone to kneecap problems like poodles, Yorkshire Terriers, or pretty much any terrier, what is this going to cover or not cover if my veterinarian could find that? And that's where a veterinarian can really help you and say, okay, I'm going to get a poodle type dog. What are some of the diseases that I need to be aware of that could happen during their lifespan? And then kind of approach your pet insurance company that way.
Yeah. Well, you think diseases, sure, but I mean,
but if they fell and hurt themselves or something,
that to me would be why you'd want insurance.
Yeah.
Now let's throw this out there. What if the dog is obese?
It's just like humans. You don't turn away a human
with a broken leg.
Because.
But is that a direction things could be going? Is that, if your pet or you are overweight and you don't correct that factor, then are you somewhat liable for the potential that you could develop a problem down the road?
Yeah,
Isn't that an interesting thought?
It is not really to me.
That's a Pandora's box.
I cannot tell you how often I encounter this situation where a pet owner will come in with a sick pet. I'll diagnose a problem and they'll say, okay, great, I'm going to apply for pet insurance now, and I'll find out how much it covers. And this is after the fact of a pet being diagnosed with a problem that they go to seek out pet insurance, which is kind of it's not the concept of what insurance is about.
So these are all pre-existing conditions they're trying to get covered.
Right. Insurance is a managed risk. It's a risk that you take, and then you're kind of paying out for that potential that hopefully nothing ever happens. But if it does, you are insured. It is not an after-the-fact drive-through and say, okay, my dog's been diagnosed with a cancer, so now I want insurance to help me cover her. It just doesn't work.
Nope.
No.
Jamie Richardson, she hired a lawyer, and the lawyer says, regardless of whatever the glossy brochure says, always read the fine print. She says, and this is what I've always said, you should put a little money away every month, because she's seen so many clients battling insurance companies that it just makes more sense to, if you're disciplined enough, to put money into a separate bank account that maybe even is gaining interest. And she recommends about $50 a month to do that if you can do that. But you got to be really disciplined to do that. And that is the one thing that I do, is I do put money away because I don't want to battle the insurance. I don't want to have to deal with maybe pre-existing conditions or loopholes whatsoever. I want to be able to fix my animal as best I can.
Your money will cover 100% of whatever happens.
The only problem with that approach is if you have multiple pets, so every month you should be putting away that same amount per pet. So that is a downfall for that kind of step, because that is even harder for people with multiple animals to do.
Yep.
So I think insurance has its place. I don't think it's the cure-all for everything. And I do think pet owners need to be aware of what kind of things that could come up. And also, what's your preparedness? What would you do if you found out your dog had a splenic tumor? If you're not going to be inclined to pursue surgery, blood transfusions, and so forth, then really is pet insurance going to be useful to help you offset the cost of something that could cost $4,000 or $5,000 when you maybe not even going to take that step in the first place? So I think you got to know what your wishes are and what your kind of, I don't want to say your shopping history for what you've done for your other pets along the way.
Okay. For Jamie, she canceled her pet insurance plan after 4 years of paying premiums. So It's a little bit of both sides there. There's some advantages and disadvantages. If you are disciplined, do what I'm doing. If you're not disciplined, pet insurance is definitely a good solution and answer. And you've always recommended pet insurance, so
I do, but I'm not like one of those people I wave the pom-poms around it. I do think there are some shortcomings, and it's not perfect. It really isn't.
This is
Animal Radio, baby.
Airlines have just reduced their prices even more. Book 30 days in advance and save big.
Want the absolute lowest prices on your airline tickets? Then call the Low Cost Airlines Travel Hotline right now for prices so low we can't publish them anywhere. The only way to access our low rates and save up to 70% is to call. Save hundreds on your vacation tickets by calling right now. You can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
802-341-4532. 802-341-4532. 802-341-4532. That's 802-341-4532.
This is
Animal Radio.
This is an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified and puts the treat into treatment. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I'm Lori Brooks. Young girls may be discarding their princess wands for superhero capes this Halloween, but not so in the canine world. The glass ceiling appears to be firmly in place, at PetSmart at least, where career costumes labeled male include firefighter and police officer, and female dogs choose between a pink cowgirl costume or a ballerina tutu. So, to be fair, a number of the costumes there at PetSmart range from lobsters and pumpkins and dinosaurs. Those do bear the male, female, or unisex label. Now, you're thinking this is kind of crazy, right?
Sure.
Scott Lowry hosts a podcast on gender issues and said it might seem silly on the surface, but this really is part of a larger message that we're sending. That there are certain jobs for men and certain jobs for women. He plans to dress his two dogs as the cop duo Cagney and Lacey this month, and says he did a double take when he saw PetSmart's police officer costumes marked for males. He clicked around and then noticed there was a pattern. Career-related costumes were often explicitly marked either male or female, and then they are even constructed exactly the same way. It's kind of unisex, but they put male or female on it. Still, the most popular costumes for pets were gender neutral. They were pumpkins, hot dogs, and bumblebees. Now, in addition, there is another kind of sexist angle to this, if you will. Last year, the New York City Department of Consumer Affairs found that items marketed to girls and women, humans, were routinely marked up an average of 7% more compared to items for boys and men. And it turns out that those markups are not limited to humans. At Party City, Supergirl and Wonder Woman dog costumes were priced 30% higher than Superman costumes and Batgirl costumes. Pet costumes have been gaining popularity in recent years, with 16% of Americans saying they will dress up their dogs, cats, and bunnies for Halloween this year, according to the National Retail Foundation.
How many percent? What was that? How many?
16% of Americans say they will dress up their dogs, cats, and bunnies.
That's not a lot.
Oh, I'm surprised it's not higher.
Yeah, that is.
You would think it is higher, but it gets so much attention that it seems like it is.
I just think people aren't admitting it. They're afraid to say they're going to.
I find it's hard to find a big girl size costume for my large dog. I kind of get that XXL, and I'm looking, I think I need a triple XL for her.
Poor Nikki.
Oh, gosh. Well, Californians who see an animal trapped in a hot car can now, without fear of being sued or breaking the law, break a window to set the animal free under a new bill that has been signed into law there. Rescuers can legally break into the car as long as there is no other way to free the animal and it appears to be in danger and the car is locked and law enforcement isn't arriving fast enough. But the one thing, if you do break into the car, you must stay on the scene until law enforcement arrives there. But at least that's a good passage of a law.
Sure.
HABRI, the Human Animal Bond Research Initiative, we love this group. They have announced that for the very first time, they now have data to show that when we know how good pets are for us, that we are more likely to take better care of the pets. In their latest survey, when asked how knowledge of new scientific research on the human-animal bond affected their actions, 89% of pet owners said they were more likely to take better care of their pets. 75% said they were more likely to get that pet microchipped. 74% said they were less likely to give up a pet for any reason. And nearly 90% said they were more likely to provide their pets with higher quality nutrition. Now, the survey also asked pet owners about increasing support for pet ownership in society. 84% agree health and life insurance companies should give discounts for owning a pet. 87% said they would be more likely to buy products from pet-friendly businesses. And 88% agree doctors and specialists should go ahead and recommend pets to patients for healthier living.
Well, I second that. All in favor?
I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. The veterinarian isn't typically thought of as your pet's favorite place to go. With Fear Free, that all changes. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. I think we do it just fine. If I wanted a celebration, this is the kind of celebration I'd want.
I celebrate my pet every day.
Lori, just a few minutes ago, you reported that there seems to be a problem with sexist Halloween costumes.
Yes, sir. But everything for women is more expensive. To get our, laundry.
That's not fair.
It
isn't fair.
I know in Washington, D.C., they're doing away with what they call the tampon tax.
Really?
No tax on tampons anymore. But, when you're talking about dogs or humans and you have female costumes that are more expensive than the male costumes for whatever reason, that's just something's wrong there.
That's just wrong.
And, of course, I think it's all crazy because I'm not the kind of guy that dresses up my animals. I think that's silly, but, I respect anybody that does that.
I dress my pet every year.
You dress up Ladybug. What was she last year?
Last year she was like a little horse jockey.
Oh, yeah.
And she had a little jockey on her back, so when she walked, it was like the jockey was riding her as a horse. She had like a saddle and stuff. So, yes, it was very cute.
Oh, cute.
Yes.
What were your dogs dressed up last year, Dr. Debbie?
My Nikki was a skeleton, so she was like a scary boy thing, and she's a girl. I had no problem with that. And then Boss was Superman. He's super dog.
Lori, did you dress up your animals, or are you with me on this?
No, I'm absolutely not with you on that, Hal.
Okay.
But no, I don't dress up my dogs because I dress them up all the time because, I make collars for dogs. So, in costumes for shelter animals to get them more attention. So my dogs are always putting on some kind of clothing and having their pictures taken. Every day's Halloween here. Yeah.
We have Madonna Shee. She works with a website called fun.com. She's the lead brand specialist. That's a pretty cool name there. And she, I guess the site there, they have costumes for pets, and we welcome her to the show. Hi, Madonna. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
This is the first time I ever thought I'd say hi, Madonna, on the radio show.
Well, congratulations.
You guys sell costumes, right?
Yeah, we our parent company is fun.com, but we also run HalloweenCostumes.com. So it's definitely our busy time of year right now for humans and animals.
We heard in statistics during the news that only 16% of Americans dress up their animals for Halloween. I bet you feel it's a little more than that, huh?
I know, that's a surprising number, but also, like I heard you say, some people dress their animals up year-round, so maybe that kind of skews it too. Like, it's not counting the people like me who put their animals through this type of torture in the non-October months, too.
No, don't use that word torture. They love it.
So,
I don't know. I tried to put a bonnet on my cat the other day, and he didn't care for that very much.
yeah. What costumes are big sellers this year or last year, or what are the best ones, do you think?
This year, we really noticed that people like to buy other animal types of costumes for their dogs.
Oh.
So, we have a lion mane. That one's really popular for us, as well as we have a spider costume for dogs. That one does really well. But my other favorite is food items. So we have a taco costume that I know lots of people like.
So now, do you think there's any sexism with the costumes? Because that's a big issue we just heard about in the news, that there's a lot of, seems to be like gender-specific costumes, like a policeman and or a police dog, I guess it would be, and construction workers.
You know, I really don't. Going through our stuff online, we don't section out our category by boy costume, girl costume. And like I said, the majority that we sell are items like other animals or food. You know, so you're not going to be like, oh, here's a, boy lion versus a girl dinosaur. I really think if you want to dress your dog up as Superman and it's a little girl, we're not going to stop you.
Yeah, I hear you.
Happy.
More power to you.
Happy. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Or if you have a little boy dog and you want to put a tutu on him, go for it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Why not? I'll make it.
I understand that we have 2 giveaways today from, is it Halloween.com?
Halloween costumes.
HalloweenCostumes.com. And so I'm encouraging listeners, if you want to get your animals dressed up this year, definitely head on over to the website. We're going to have 2 giveaways now. Are they of specific costumes?
No, you can pick whatever you want.
Ooh.
We have Star Wars. We have Minions.
Do you have human costumes, I assume, also?
Yes, we do.
Do you have matching?
Quite a few more. And that was another thing that I was thinking to say, too. We see a lot of families, including the pets, into their group costumes. So we have a lot of fun Star Wars costumes. So, like, the mom and dad could be, Han Solo and Leia, and then have a little Yoda dog.
Do you hold on, the dog in here is very excited about the Yoda costume. As soon as you said the Yoda there was, I think we know what Ladybug's going to be this year.
There I go. It's all decided.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
I represent low-cost airlines, and we know a lot of you are not traveling right now, and we understand. However, if you do need to travel between now and the end of the year, now is a great time to lock in some of the lowest prices we've seen in a lifetime. Hey, in normal times, we can save you up to 75%, but now airlines are practically giving away seats. We have inside deals on over 500 airlines. Here are a few sample round-trip deals we found. Seattle to Vegas, $35. Chicago to Atlanta, $85. Los Angeles to Atlanta, $100. Of course, there are some limitations, but the airlines want your business right now. And cancellation and change fees are flexible. So fly somewhere this year, book now, save a ton, call right now.
802-341-4532, 802-341-4532, 802-341-4532. That's 802-341-4532.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. And today we're not dog-centric or cat-centric. We're getting both sides today. We have a couple of great experts. Just happened coincidentally this way. Brandon McMillan from CBS's Lucky Dog will be joining us next hour. This hour, probably the foremost cat psychologist, at least that I know, that would be Pam Johnson-Bennett. She's joining us. Hi, Pam. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Well, welcome back. You have a book called Cat Wise?
Yes, I still keep trying to get people to get a little smarter about their cats.
Well, now, here's the thing. Can you really train a cat?
I think they're easier than dogs to train.
Really?
Wow.
How's that?
Because cats are food motivated. They're hunters. So if you use food, it's a built-in tool for you to use. So they're actually very easy to train, and they're smart. The thing is, you have to give them a choice. a lot of times we force animals to do things, and you can't win by forcing and by using fear. You have to give them a choice and give them a roadmap to success.
You know, when you ask a friend to help you move an apartment, you know, for a 6-pack of beer or a pizza, help me move, that's what my cat looks at me like whenever I wanted to do anything.
Well, I think maybe the beer and the pizza you're offering might be the problem.
Yeah. Since you're the best cat shrink I know, I want you to answer this question, this phenomenon that happens that's so bizarre. I have friends that come over. They're allergic to cats. They don't want anything to do with my cats. And Judy, when she comes over, they stay away from her.
And I love cats.
She loves cats. She likes to pet them. She really loves to give them attention.
They don't want anything to do with me.
But my neighbors just, they don't want anything to do with the cats, but the cats always go to them and sits on their lap.
And it's common sense if you think about it. Cats are territorial, and our house is their territory. And they want to make sure when someone comes in, they have to have time to decide, is this friend or foe? And a lot of times the cat lovers don't give them a chance. They just charge right over and want to pet them.
Right.
And the cat hasn't had time to go, hey, wait a minute, you don't smell like anyone else that I know in this house. Whereas the person who's allergic or the person who hates cats does not make eye contact, does not make any overtures for the cat, and that gives the cat an opportunity to come up and do a scent investigation. And cats are all about scent.
Okay, so I got to just ignore him, no eye contact.
Let him make the first move. Let him come to you. It's all about choice, and that applies to anything. The more choice you give a cat, the less behavior problems you're going to have.
When I sit down to do some work in front of a computer and I have all my papers laid out and everything, and I'm really intense in my work, for some reason, the cat that wouldn't give me attention earlier in the day now needs to sit on my keyboard or on my papers. Why?
Oh, they're smart, aren't they? They
Yes.
know. It's because that's where your focus is. And they want to be where your focus is, and you're kind of like a captive audience right there. And so they sit on the newspaper you're reading or the magazine or the papers you're writing on or right across your keyboard. And a lot of times you may be talking on the phone or and they think, well, I don't see anyone else in the room. They must be talking to me. So let me go over and be right in the center of attention. So it's, again, they're very smart.
I have a question. If I wanted to, as a veterinarian, I see a lot of different house soiling issues. What percentage of your work is related to elimination problems versus maybe just more of a pure behavioral cat interaction problem?
Oh my gosh, we're talking like 85-90%.
Wow.
Is the
really
elimination
high.
problems. Really?
And many times that's not the original problem. That's a result of another problem. It might be that the cat is eliminating outside of the litter box because somebody else brought a new cat in and didn't do a good introduction, or they moved to a new house, or there's been punishment, or the cat is afraid of something. So, sometimes, yes, it's because the litter box is dirty, and of course, there are the medical issues. But many times the cat is doing that because there's something else going on, so we have to look at that. We have to look beyond the box.
The book is called Cat Wise. Our guest is Pam Johnson-Bennett, and my last question happens to be the biggest question we get here on the toll-free lines. Why is it my cat is no longer using the litter box? She's been using it all the years. All of a sudden is no longer using it.
Okay, I have a 3-step. It's going to sound simple, but number 1, you take your cat to the veterinarian to rule out medical issues. Even if you're sure it's behavioral, you do not skip that step.
Okay.
The second step is look at the litter box setup itself. Is it clean? Has the cat grown? Is this a box that was good when he was a 6-month-old kitten, but now that he's a 2-year-old overweight cat, is it not working? Have you made changes in the environment where that litter box is no longer acceptable? So first, medical. Second, look at the setup itself. And third, what's happening in the dynamics in the household? Have you added another cat? Is your house becoming chaotic? Did you move? Has something happened that's traumatic for the cat? So you look at those 3 things, and that's the order you go in.
First, definitely going to the vet and making sure there's not a medical problem, like what could be a urine infection or...
There are so many things. And many times people will call me and say, They haven't gone to the vet because they're sure it's behavioral. They're sure the cat is mad at them or getting back at them for something.
Yeah.
So please don't assume it's behavioral, because if it isn't, you're causing your cat to suffer unnecessarily.
Good words. Pam Johnson-Bennett joining us. If you want to pick up, I have 10 copies right now of this fabulous book called Catwise. If you can't get through, not lucky enough to win one of the copies today, head on over to Amazon.com and look it up. Catwise, W-I-S-E, Catwise, a great new book from Pam Johnson-Bennett. And Pam, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to head back to, of course, anytime. We're going to head back to the phones for your calls right now.
This is
Animal Radio. You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Start your dog's daily dental routine with Red Barn's new dental treats, Chewables. Thoughtfully designed with ridges and grooves to help control plaque and tartar buildup in between your dog's dental vet visits. Chewables are natural, easily digestible, and your dog will love them. Red Barn Chewables, the tastiest way to brush your dog's teeth. Learn more at redbarn.com today.
Use the promo code Animal Radio, and you'll get 10% off your purchase.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring veterinarian Dr. Debbie White, groomer Joey Villani, news director Lori Brooks. And now, from the Red Barn Studios, here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
Welcome. This hour, Brandon McMillan from the CBS hit series Lucky Dog. He just picked up an Emmy. Wow. I don't know if you knew that. I didn't realize that they gave Emmys for that, but they do, apparently. He's done a fine job really representing the dogs on CBS every Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. He says he can train your dog, or you can train your dog, within 7 days to do the basics. What are the basics? You should know the basics. Sit, stay, down, come, off, heel, and no. And before they learn any other tricks, they need to know these basics.
Yep.
And we'll be asking him about that in just a couple of minutes right here on Animal Radio. I also want to know what his style is. Because, there's the Cesar Millan style, which is kind of
controversial. The
discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's
dominance.
Dominance, yeah, that's really what it is. Victoria Stilwell, she's more of a treat-based.
Positive reinforcement.
Positive reinforcement is what they call that. I'm glad you ladies had the proper names, what I was trying to say. The words are all there. You put them in order. Brandon will be with us talking about his first book, I believe. Did you know he's bi-coastal? Not a lot of people know that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't really anything wrong with that. We're pretty open-minded here at Animal Radio. What else is happening this hour? That's it. No, Lori, you're working in the newsroom. You got something. Hopefully, can beat it.
I'm trying to get some work done, but I'm having so much fun, Hal. It's been difficult. We're going to find out. There's such a debate about what kind of animal can really be a service animal, and people fudging with taking an animal on a plane, saying that it is their emotional support animal. So they are having meetings going on in Washington, and we'll tell you what the airline is wanting to do about which animals they want to allow. Only like 2 types of animals.
Are they going to ban my service ferret? Because if they're going to ban my service ferret, I don't know. I've just got the little badge and everything that goes over him.
You'll have to wait a minute, and I'll tell you.
Good luck keeping it on him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the phones for your calls from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Let's head on over to Belinda. Hey, Belinda, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Bellflower, California.
Oh, the L.A. area. So how are you doing? What's up? I got the whole team here. We can help you.
Hi. I'm calling. I have a almost 5-year-old Savannah that has a clothing fetish.
Wait. Is that a cat?
It's a cat. Yeah, that'll be my call there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. When she was around 2, she started eating like material like towels, clothing, blankets. I can't keep any towels or toilet paper, anything in the bathroom. I took her to 2 vets. They couldn't find anything wrong with her. And then about a year after that, she stopped eating, and when I took her in, they thought she was plugged up because I never found any evidence of any of the material that she ate. And they couldn't find anything. They did exploratory surgery, and they just said she had a severe food allergy.
Okay.
And she still, although I don't leave anything out, so she hasn't been doing this for about a year, and I think it's because there's nothing for her to chew on.
Okay, good.
Anymore. But I didn't know if it was like a food, like she was missing something in her diet. Right now she's on a hypoallergenic diet because of the food allergy.
Okay. When we have a kitty that's chewing on fabrics, we call that wool sucking. Some will just suck on fabrics. Others will chew or try to ingest that. But it's a complicated disorder. And in many cases, we do feel that it is an obsessive compulsive disorder. And there can be some genetic traits linking towards this. And we do see it a lot in some of the Oriental breeds. And Savannahs can have Oriental breeds within that. So for those that don't know, a Savannah is a hybrid cat, serval mixed with a domestic short hair. And sometimes they have the Ossicats or the Oriental short hairs mixed in there. But this obsessive compulsive disorder, if it's not something like that, it can also be something digestive, a food allergy, and malabsorptive problem. So I do like the fact that your kitty is on a hypoallergenic diet. And for some cats, that or the higher level treatments, if we have inflammatory bowel disease present, medications to suppress that may be in order. If that's not the case and they didn't feel she had a huge inflammatory bowel disease component, then, the diet might be the only thing we need to do medically, and then look at what other things that we can do to treat the wool sucking. And the number one thing that I like that you said is that you've restricted access to those items. Something as simple as towels or clothes, laundry laying around, those kind of things, just having those out of way and not around can help to eliminate that behavior. And there are some thoughts that by increasing other alternate oral behaviors, because it can have an obsessive component, so some cats just need to chew on something, whether it be, a doggy rawhide, a lamb ear, providing them with kitty grass can be helpful for some cats.
I did buy her about a year and a half ago one of those large dog bones. I got at one of the restaurants. I mean, it was huge. And I let her know on that for quite a while. I mean, she worked that over.
And that's another one.
That was just something that I figured, well, she's going to chew. I even gave her a couple of Kong toys.
Good.
I was trying to think of things, too, but because I couldn't figure out why she was doing it. It was very frustrating. And like I said, since she's had the surgery, it's been about 2 years now, a year and a half, she hasn't had that problem. But then again, I haven't left anything out for her.
Good. And that might be interesting because the diet plus your changes, may have been successful enough right now that you don't have to look at some of the other steps that we would do. But, some of those other things, making sure that, everything's picked up, the environment, we enrich that. So, just making sure everything is as stress-free as possible. And some cats with wool sucking, it'll actually be triggered after a stressful event or some kind of household change. But the vast majority of cats that do this, it actually starts at puberty. So just at a couple months of age is when this behavior starts to kick in. And
she went, it was about a year and a half, 2 years when she started. And the lady I got her from said, it's a phase she's going through. And I'm like, after 2 years, I'm like, this is a really long phase. I don't think so.
And, in my practice, I tell you, over 50% of the cats that have this behavior are Siamese. The other ones will be Burmese and the other Oriental breeds. So it is very common in these guys. And sometimes we do have to pull out medications such as kitty Prozac or clomipramine is another one that I'll use with this kind of behavior if we don't get the help we need with the environmental changes.
Well, I think that food might have helped because, like I said, she hasn't. I have a blanket that's missing, about a foot swatch out of it.
No!
I used to have a Siamese cat that would chew his tail, and so much so that it would tear the hair off. It was mutilating itself.
And that's a very similar kind of behavior, yeah.
Wow.
An obsessive-compulsive behavior where they'll suck and chew on their tail, and almost, kind of like a security blanket. It's their little pacifier they're chewing on.
I understand.
I'd say my cat used to suck and chew on my fingers, my little finger, and he would just close his eyes and just chew and chew and chew.
Whether you have a exotic cat like Belinda there, the Savannah, or you have an iguana or a flamingo, Dr. Debbie's pretty well-versed, and she can help you out. In fact, she's... practices in Vegas. One of these days she's going to stop practicing and actually do it for real. But she sees a lot of different strange animals because Vegas is full of different strange animals. Among the animals that she sees, well, the Yorkshire Terriers, the Shih Tzu, the Pug, the Mini Schnauzer, all very exotic dogs. And she has, in fact, written books about all of these dogs, how to be your dog's best friend. And you can find them over at Amazon, the Kindle books over there. And, of course, we have links at animalradio.com.
Hello, Animal Radians. It's Robert Semro, your Pet World Insider, here with this week's Animal Radio list. 5 reasons every day is Halloween in the pet world. So you may think Halloween is one day a year, and I'll agree that's true on the calendar. However, I've been pondering this notion for a while, and as I explored it, I have now concluded and am ready to declare this here on Animal Radio: every day is Halloween for the pet world. Think about it. What is Halloween known for? Treats, dressing up, walking the neighborhood and seeing friends, and greeting them with a huge smile of internal warmth. On top of that, the kids in our lives can't wait to get out and walk the neighborhood. Well, that's how most days go for those with pets. Our fur kids are dressed up each day, ready to get out of the house and on a walk, and they can't wait to see the neighbors. Each morning, regardless of whether you have a dog, cat, bird, or other pet, you wake up to an energized being ready to get moving. They have more enthusiasm than you, and they can't wait to get started. Dogs in particular are at the front door asking, begging, even demanding that we get going on a walk around the neighborhood. Dogs stop at most of the houses to sniff the scented treats that have been left behind by other dogs. They let each other know where the good houses are and the ones to skip. That's the kind of teamwork and camaraderie that all kids have on Halloween. Which house is giving out the good candy, and which house is giving out boxes of raisins? Ugh, I'm still haunted by boxes of raisins. Next is the dressing up. That's right, for many it's a chance to be something different, whimsical, scary, or just simply have fun. The same holds true in the pet world. Yes, there are outfits, costumes, blingy colors, pet paints, and so much more that are more common than ever. And just like children, some pets love this activity of getting dressed up to see their adoring public and to shine like the stars they are. One more similarity is that many children are pushed around the neighborhood in strollers to trick or treat. So too are many dogs and cats these days. It's not a rarity anymore, and I predict that pets being pushed around in strollers may become an epidemic within the next 100 years. Halloween is all about the treats, and so too are the pets in our lives. Every day is filled with a quick stop-off at the desk, at the table, on the sofa. It's like Halloween. Instead of trick-or-treating, we know exactly what our pets are doing: licks for treats, which is best translated as, I'm going to give you kisses and loves because I know that ends with a tasty treat or two. Okay, all kidding aside, Halloween really is every day for anyone with pets, and we receive treats galore without the cavities. Share your everyday is Halloween thoughts on our Animal Radio Facebook page.
Hi, this is Clive Pierce from HGTV. You're listening to Animal Radio.
Your dog loves meat. That's why they'll love the new line of Red Barn dry dog food. The first 5 ingredients in each Red Barn recipe are meat, fish, or poultry, sure to satisfy your dog's carnivore cravings. The added functional ingredients make Red Barn dry dog foods the perfectly balanced meal for your best friend. Available in land, ocean, and sky recipes. Your dog loves meat. We love your dog. Head to redbarn.com to use the promo Animal Radio for 10% off your first bag.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating that connection with our pets. You know that connection. You look in their eyes, they give you that unconditional love, and you're in love. That's it. Nothing in the world will get between you and your cat, your dog, your ferret, your iguana, even your turkey. From that point on, that's how animal-human love grows.
What I was going to say, what are you even saying, Hal?
I'm a little excited. Brandon McMillan is on in just a few minutes, and usually it's the ladies that get excited for this kind of. He's a looker, and he has that CBS TV series, an Emmy Award winning. See,
Nike agrees.
Nike even agrees,
yeah.
and Nike's a cat. He has that show called Lucky Dog, and he also hosts Discovery Shark Week on Animal Planet. He was actually born into a family of trainers and entertainer, and he's been working with animals all his life. He's trained over 300 Hollywood productions with animals, pets. And I believe he's also sort of a celebrity trainer, too. He deals with Ellen DeGeneres' dogs, Rod Stewart's dog, Snoop Dogg's dog.
Snoop Dogg's dog.
I need to give him one of the bulldogs here to try and train.
Yeah, you do. You really do. You have some...
They are not easy. I mean, I know friends who are going on years trying to potty train these guys. It's not easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's all that oxygen, lack of oxygen. That doesn't...
Well, yeah. I mean, I think lack of oxygen, they've linked towards a lot of problems with heart problems in people and blood disorders and so forth. So, gosh, I can see why it might be the last thing they're thinking about is, I got to walk over there and pee over there. I'm just trying to breathe, man.
Okay, let's go to the phones. Which one are we going to? All five are lit up here.
We're going to line 3 with Mike.
Hey, Mike, welcome to the show. I have Dr. Debbie right here for you.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good.
Great.
Yeah, we had a little incident a couple weeks ago where our dog, medium-sized dog, decided that a rawhide chew bone was something that you devour and not chew on.
Oh,
and when I looked over, I could tell the dog was choking because it was thrashing its head around. So I know how to do CPR on a dog from the sides of the chest, but I was like dumbfounded. And I know the Heimlich for humans, but I was dumbfounded how you would do it on a dog. So I had to just dive down and stick my hand down her throat as far as I can get it, and luckily I was able to grab it and pull it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But life would have been much simpler with a Heimlich technique.
Yeah, but that comes into play when we have an airway obstruction lower than the mouth. So if that was in the mouth or in the upper airway, and you can reach that and access that with your hands safely without losing your fingertips, then that's really kind of the first step. If that doesn't work, then we move to the Heimlich. And, in dogs, there's a lot of different techniques. You can do basically a modified human Heimlich. So if you have a small to medium-sized dog, you're basically going to reach up under the rib cage and kind of give 3 to 5 quick motions, thrust into the abdomen like you would for a person. Now, if it's a bigger dog and you're a big person, you can still do the same thing, although for some large dogs, it can be a little hard to kind of handle and apply those compressions. So you can basically lie them on the ground and apply lateral compression to the chest and near the back end of the chest. And that can give you enough force because dogs are a little different than people. We compress from the sternum when we're doing, chest compressions and CPR. You press down into the chest. And in a dog, their chest doesn't really squish that way really effectively. So from the side, you can get some really good compressions that way in dislodging and just getting the force of that push going. So, oh gosh, so scary. So, well, it sounds like now you're still going to feed. Oh, that gets your heart going. Now, what's your feeling on rawhides?
I don't think it's good for bigger dogs. I don't know. I mean, maybe smaller dogs, smaller mouths, they know to be chewing on it. But big dogs, I just think it's right down. They look at it as another bone.
Yeah. And, there are some goods and bads with that. Definitely the dental exercise. One thing for people that love rawhides and like their dogs to get that exercise, if you're not directly supervising like you were, I would never, ever, ever feed that kind of product for your pet. Right. But even with cautions, there are some other rawhide styles that might be maybe a little bit less tendency for choking. And those are the compressed rawhides, which are the really heavy duty, not the chopped up rawhides that they squish into cute little shapes, but it goes under high pressure where it's really thick and heavy, and there's not those little knots on the end where they can get those little pieces caught. But that might be one other alternative that has less of a choking potential for you.
Okay, well, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your call today.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
You in the face.
Oh, thank you. Alan Cable, it's time for today's Kook Watch.
Thank you for leaving my kayak alone.
This lady in Alaska thinks a bear can understand what she's saying.
I'm going to pepper spray you in the face. That's what I'm going to do to you.
Huh. I don't think the bear liked it.
Go away! No! Get away from the kayak!
If she just would have left the bear alone, he probably would have walked away.
Stop it, Bear! Stop it! Bear! 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 You're breaking it! Why are you breaking my kayak?
Why did you pepper spray me?
Please stop! Gosh darn it! Oh, why are you doing that?
I don't know about you, but if I were the bear, I'd be running from her voice.
Why are you here?
Incredible as it may seem, the bear isn't talking.
Oh, Bear!
Why does she keep calling me Bear? My name's Bobby.
Bear! Oh, Bear!
And I thought Goldilocks was annoying.
This is
Animal Radio, baby.
Hey, don't forget you can get your fix of Animal Radio anytime you want with the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Download it now. It's made possible by Fear Free Pets, taking the pet out of petrified. Visit them at fearfreehappyhomes.com. Okay, yeah, so puppy pads are convenient, but sometimes they're really gross. That's why Ladybug, the Animal Radio Studio stunt dog, uses the Brilliant Pad self-cleaning puppy pad. It seals away the waste and replaces the dirty pad for us. Brilliant Pad keeps the Animal Radio Studios smelling fresh. In fact, all we have to do is replace the roll once every few weeks. And let me tell you, that's pretty fast and easy to do. I love it, and Ladybug gives it 5 paws up. You can learn more about this amazing machine over at brilliantpad.com.
This is an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified and puts the treat into treatment. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I'm Lori Brooks. As pet owners, we've all had to deal with the depression and sadness of watching our furry companions age and slow down, and then had to say goodbye much sooner than we wanted. But apparently, the dog aging process is not really normal. For one certain biologist, how dogs age doesn't make sense because in the animal world, larger animals live longer than smaller ones. Except for dogs, right? Tigers outlive domestic house cats. Killer whales outlive dolphins. Humans outlive chimpanzees. You get the pattern there. However, within the dog species, the opposite is true. The smaller dogs live a lot longer. A tiny Chihuahua can live up to 18 years, while a huge Newfie or Newfoundland lives to be only about 10. Well, now biologist Daniel Primslow has started the Dog Aging Project at the University of Washington. And right now they are working on getting a big grant that would allow them to conduct this huge study on dog aging that would involve about 10,000 dogs from all over the country. Think about it. Dogs, he says, are the most phenotypically variable species in the world, according to Promslow. Just go to the dog park and you see the variability in every way, in terms of size, shape, color, coat, and behavior. So now the project is recruiting dogs of all kinds, large and small, purebreds, mixed breeds, young and old. They are also interested in dogs from really geographically diverse parts of the country and from households of different socioeconomic backgrounds. So they're looking at all dogs. They want you to help. You see, there are several easy metrics for measuring aging in humans. For example, you can measure human frailty by seeing how quickly a person can get out of a chair in what's pretty much a standardized test. But there's really no such chair test for dogs, which makes it hard to evaluate how well or how poorly that dog is aging. The project, by the way, is also testing whether a drug called rapamycin can help out dogs aging better with better heart health. But that's a separate study. You can find out more about both of these at dogagingproject.com. Turkeys, pigs, and even roosters have flown the friendly skies. We've heard so many of these stories, carried onto commercial planes by passengers who identified their furry and feathered friends as emotional support animals. However, a committee of airline representatives and disabled rights advocates continues their meetings in Washington, D.C., seriously trying to come up with some new rules on what types of animals should be permitted on planes and what types of documents need to be required in order to prove those animals are legitimately needed. Airlines recognize two types of animals that can accompany passengers free of charge, being service animals, such as seeing eye dogs, and emotional support animals, which help comfort travelers who have psychological or emotional mental illnesses or conditions. The debate among members of the Accessible Air Transportation Advisory Committee focuses on what type of animals can be recognized as emotional support animals. The National Multiple Sclerosis Society, among others, suggests limiting emotional support animals to only dogs, cats, and rabbits, while other organizations, including the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, they would like to add birds to that list, but not chickens, ducks, or turkeys. Why? The airlines say too many passengers falsely claim that their pets are emotional support animals. The major air carriers want to recognize only dogs and miniature horses as service animals and require that all animals be kept in pet containers or carriers during the flight.
That is speciest. I'll tell you that right now. If a turkey makes me feel better, or an autistic kid, if it makes him feel better, I don't see why.
Or a pet chicken.
It doesn't matter. That's speciest. Totally. I'm sorry.
But they're worried about the American Asthma Society is worried about people who are asthmatic being exposed to so many different kinds of pet dander on flights, and that would be really tragic if you could have a medical emergency.
Absolutely. And I have to jump in because I have a friend who's a veterinarian who can't be around animals now. She's so allergic. It causes life-threatening allergic reactions. And I saw her recently, and people have to do interference to make sure people's service dogs aren't nearby. It would be devastating to her life.
Now, let me get this straight. She's a veterinarian.
No longer, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, she is a veterinarian. She trained. This didn't appear until well into her higher secondary education after she had her degree, and she was pursuing higher a PhD beyond that. But I guess the point is, I didn't realize that for so many people, I feel bad for people like this, and I would encourage folks that are just taking advantage of the system in this way to really stop and think. Until you know somebody whose life is in jeopardy, just because you want to fly your dog with you, I think I have a totally different perspective.
Charge.
Now.
Well, how does she practice?
She doesn't. She's in a non-practice situation, but she uses her degree. So, it happens. She didn't know this when she was young. She always wanted to be a veterinarian. You deal the cards that you're dealt with. And what does she do? Go back and find another degree and spend all that money, get another career?
Workman's comp.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a strange
now
story, but I see both sides now.
Consult.
Yeah.
Get more breaking animal news anytime you need it at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. The veterinarian isn't typically thought of as your pet's favorite place to go. With Fear Free, that all changes. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
Live at the Red Barn Studios, you're listening to Animal Radio. Here's Hal and Judy.
Hey, Jermaine.
Hey, I have a question regarding domesticated and wild cats. Are they able to mate?
Are they able, biology-wise, able to mate?
Well, are they able to mate and produce a litter?
It is conceivable. Now, when you're talking about wild cats, are you talking about things like lynxes or bobcats, things like that? Yes, it is certainly possible. However, I kind of would term that a dangerous liaison, if I could, because your average wild cat and domestic cat, if they meet up, it's not going to be a good outcome for the domestic cat, unless we're dealing with, human intervention or cats that have been kind of raised in different environments where they're used to human handling. But yeah, it's certainly possible, and there are a lot of breeds out there that are actually new exotic cat breeds where they kind of breed a semi-wild cat into that of a domestic shorthair. So it is possible. Why do you ask? I got to ask.
Well, I had a cat show up on my deck, and at first I thought it was a wild thing, and he has a bobtail. But then I discovered he's neutered, and he's declawed as well. He's huge. He is huge. And he's got this bobtail. He has no tufts. He's got like rabbit fur and a black stripe down his spine.
Sure, he's not a skunk. Oh, I guess that would be a white.
Yeah, really.
White
Yeah, as far as you know, the skunks and the cats don't breed, thankfully.
I was just curious because of his size and his coat that, he just looks semi-wild.
Sure. And, a lot of these hybrid breeds, that's, some of the look they're going for is something that looks and retains the look of the wild cat and has the size and the, cuteness of the house cat. So I'm not a huge fan of hybrid cats. Now, equally, we see some very huge domestic cats out there, just in the Maine Coons, as well as the Norwegian mountain cats. Both of those breeds of cat can get around 25 pounds, so they can be a pretty sizable kitty and just be a regular old domestic house cat. So I'd be curious to know, though, and even if you could catch a picture of this kitty, I'd love to take a look, because there are some breeds like the Pixie Bob, which is basically a bobcat mixed with a domestic short hair, and they kind of have a little bit of a bobcat kind of look about them, and they're kind of interesting. So yeah, if you get a picture, I'd love to see
that too.
Have to say, if he is, a hybrid breed, one of the first things I'd say is I'd check him for a microchip, because some of the hybrid breeds could go up to $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. So they are not a cheap pet, and if someone lost them, they would be looking very dearly for them.
Right.
Hi, this is Dr. Paul on Incredible Radio. Is that what it is?
Animal Radio.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hello, this is Dr. Paul on Animal Radio. Take care of the pets and make sure that in these hot days that they get in lots of water, and don't tie them outside in the sun, because then they get a heat stroke.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too. She was shot, dragged by a dog, hung upside down, and then left in the household refrigerator for 2 days. But a duck, now named Perky, seems to have come back to life. A hunter's wife in Florida got an unusual greeting when she opened up her refrigerator door. A duck that her husband had shot 2 days earlier lifted up her head. She called her daughter, who took the duck to the vet. Perky the duck had suffered a broken leg and a broken wing, but was given to the Goose Creek Wildlife Sanctuary, where she'll live out her life in a sort of duck paradise. Now that's one lucky duck. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio. Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
Check out Animal Radio highlights. All the good stuff without the blah, blah, blah. Browse on over to animalradio.pet.
Do you travel with your dog?
Of course. My pets are part of our family.
Me too. I take Daisy with me everywhere. Right, Daisy? So how do you find out what hotels welcome your dog?
I read Fido Friendly, the travel and lifestyle magazine for you and your dog.
Sounds perfect for planning our next vacation. Right, Daisy?
It is. Their motto is leave no dog behind, and they have great hotel and destination reviews.
Where can I find the magazine?
Go online to FidoFriendly.com.
I will for sure. Come on, Daisy. We're off to find our next adventure.
This is Greg Biffle on Animal Radio, and remember to spay and neuter your pets.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio. This is where we celebrate the connection with our pets. Toll free 1-866-405-8405 to reach out to Dr. Debbie or dog father Joey Villani. And we'll go back to the phones in just a couple of minutes. But first, we want to visit with America's favorite bi-coastal dog trainer, Emmy Award winning Brandon McMillan is joining us. Hey, Brandon, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, Brandon, how are you doing?
Good.
I wanted to thank you so much for being part of Fido Friendly's Get Your Licks on Route 66 tour and congratulate you on how well Lucky Dog is doing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's not broken, let's just say that.
No, it's far from broken. You have a book out called Lucky Dog Lessons, and it's kind of like a fundamental book, isn't it? It's like 7 commands that every dog should know, like sit and down and come or off or heel or no, get away from that. The basic one.
Exactly. I'm a firm believer of less is more in dog training.
Yeah.
In other words, I like to teach the dog. I like to really focus and solidify the commands that are just very important. And, look, tricks are fun, but tricks are for kids. When it comes to, I had this book in my head for years.
Sure.
Harper approached me and they said, listen, we want you to write a dog training book, I thought to myself, you know what? All right, I'm going to find out what's out there because I have a lot of information to give out, but I want to make sure that I'm not repeating every other book that's ever been written. I went out there and I bought every top-selling dog training book in the past, 10, 15 years.
Wow. There's got to be a lot of them.
Exactly. And so what I did was I did a lot of research, and I'm like, all right, I know what's out there, and I know exactly what I'm going to put out there now. Because every command that I teach, I've got 10 different ways to teach it. So I wasn't worried that, oh, no, it's all been written. And I also had to keep in mind that the average reader who's going to buy this book, they're not going to be the advanced trainer. So I had to also dip back into, okay, let's write this to where, even the most novice dog trainer, dog handler, dog owner, they're going to understand. So I literally wanted to write it where a 12-year-old could read this book and they could train their dog.
My dog won't learn how to come. I mean, she'll come, 25% of the time when nothing else is going on. But if there's something else out there a little more exciting, she won't come. And I've tried some of the basic things, but you give me several different techniques, several different ways to try this, not just a one-size-fits-all.
Oh, yeah. Now, what I really try to drill into your brain in the very beginning of the book is we talk about variables. I pretty much open the book up with the variables of dog training, and this comes down to breed personality. It comes down to history of where the dog was. In other words, let's say you have a beagle. It might be pretty tough to teach that dog to come because we're not dealing with a shepherd. We're not dealing with like a border collie. We're dealing with a dog that basically has a nose far more powerful than just about any other dog breed out there. So this is what I say in the book. There's variables, whether it's breed, whether it's their personality, whether it's their history. And so if you're having a hard time teaching your dog to come, let's take your breed into consideration. I don't know what kind of dog you do have, but I always say take all these things into consideration. And then once we know all the fundamentals, go to the chapter labeled "Come," and there's 2 or 3 ways I teach your dog to come. One of those is going to work.
One of the things that I see, like yesterday, I was at the park. This big German Shepherd came up to me and started pawing me and coming, getting on his hind legs and reaching up to me, and it was very friendly and I wasn't scared or anything like that. But the owner was trying to get the dog off, but was actually showering attention upon the dog, maybe even rewarding the dog for this. And this, I think, is like one of the biggest disconnects there is in training.
Exactly. I see that every day. In fact, I was at a sidewalk cafe a couple weeks ago, and a woman had a dog. It was barking excessively, and it was really annoying everyone. It was barking out of control, actually. But the way she was getting it to keep quiet was she was giving it treats. So technically, yeah, she was keeping it quiet for 20 seconds as it was chewing, but she was in turn teaching. Hey, every time I bark, I get a $5 bill. And so rewarding bad behavior. And the funny thing is, most people don't even realize you're doing it until you explain it to them. This is what you're doing, because they don't understand their dog treats are like money. It's like currency, you know. So. And that's how dogs work. They get paid by this, their form of currency. And people don't realize they're rewarding bad behavior. And this is why they need a dog trainer, because you need to almost explain to them the obvious. You know what I'm saying? They just don't see it.
I think one of the biggest things that's really confused people the last couple of years, maybe the last decade or so, is there's a couple of different styles of dog training. And there's been a couple of very popular dog trainers. We have Cesar Millan, and we have Victoria Stilwell. And their techniques are completely opposite. One is a reward-based training, and one is a discipline-based training. I think people get confused. How do I train my dog? Is it reward-based or discipline-based?
Well, technically, they do both work. I choose to go a little more right in the middle of the road.
Sure.
And the reason why it depends on your dog and it depends on the issue. So let's say if a dog is highly aggressive, I mean, obviously, what are you going to do? Keep rewarding him for fighting? No. So you have to do a little more of a firm discipline style training. You can't go too far because you might make the dog worse. But doing purely positive against a highly aggressive dog, I've never seen that work in the history of dog training. So you have to find that middle of the ground, and that's really where the foundation of my training goes. It's I'm very fair when I'm training dogs, and I make sure I never push the dog past the limit of what I feel comfortable or what I think the dog is comfortable with. I've made my own style.
I love it, and it's in the book called Lucky Dog Lessons. just like the TV show, the CBS TV show, Lucky Dog Lessons. In fact, I think we have 10 copies to give away right now. Thanks so much for joining us, Brandon.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it, guys. Always good.
We'll see you next week for more Animal Radio right here. Have a great week.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Animal Radio Network.